We were still at the chef's store and saw that the carrots were on sale, so decided to get a couple of bags of those too. I like these things that take very little work, just toss them on the tray and they're done. We'll get the defrost fan out of the door. Got the thermometer into place. Get that door closed. The harvest right is finished defrosting from the last batch, which was shrimp. It was a big batch because the bags lied. They were supposed to be 5-pound bags, and so altogether should have been 10 pounds, and it was 11 pounds, 3.5 ounces. It's not a bad thing. You get an extra 1.25 pounds of shrimp, and excellent shrimp. Okay. But it did put a big water load on that thing, so ended up with 9 pounds 14 ounces of water, so just under 10 pounds of water. I like to keep it 6 to 8 pounds at the maximum, so 10 pounds too much. But it worked and everything's fine. Didn't have to defrost in the middle, though it wouldn't have been a bad thing. Get the machine started and ready to load. I go customize, start custom, and continue. As soon as that's down to temperature, we'll get the vegetables in there. Working our way down the list again, meats, then vegetables, and then fruits. And there's the defrost water out of the shrimp. So just under 10 pounds of water. Freeze dryer's already been chilling for 1.25 hours because I got busy with some other stuff. So it's already 16 below. I'm gonna hurry over, get the stuff on trays and get them in before it gets even colder. Let's get them moving. Parchment paper. So I'm gonna put new parchment paper on the trays this time. Got these 2 marks that I put on the table. That's where to align this metal ruler. And I just tape it in place. I don't do anything permanent because you can do a lot of them real quick. So these are the rolls that I cut in a previous video. So I take the whole roll of parchment, mark it, and cut it with the chop saw. And then I can put it here, get it started underneath. And then all I have to do is line it up to the edge of the table and peel it off. And I've got my parchment paper perfect for the tray. And neat as can be, quick as can be, and I worked it out once. I think it works out to about 2 cents a piece. And takes so little time. So usually we do dozens of them ahead and just have them sitting waiting. Okay, anyway, I just wanted to do a quick demo on how we do our parchment paper. Okay, crinkle cut carrots. And the pans are really cold because I kept them in the freezer while I was waiting for the defrosting to happen. And so for this tray to get 2.5 pounds, it needs to read 1889 grams. All right, nailed it. And then I'll level them out after we get them all filled. This one needs to get to 1881 to be 2.5 pounds. Okay, that's really close. It's only a couple of bits more, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on there. If I'm way over again, I'm not going to put them on like I did with the shrimp. I'm going to stop at close to 2.5 pounds. Okay, tray 3. So it needs 1876 on that one. And these are the Garden Fresh brand ones from our local chef store, the restaurant supply store. Okay, so tray 3, it needs 1876 to get to the 2.5 pounds. Oh, carrot overboard. Oh. Okay, close enough. Now, tray 4. All right, 1888. So move those over, kind of level them out a bit, kind of distribute them better. They're pretty big pieces, so they're kind of a little bit harder to work with that way. Okay, now we'll get thermometers in there. So I'm thinking of drilling them into the food, because I do like to have them inside like little carrot lollipops. Going to go ahead and drill into a couple of the pieces and get thermometers in those. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to do because it's almost the same thickness. All right. So a little lollipop carrot. And we'll get that near the bottom layer. It should be maybe one piece of carrot under it, and then a piece of carrot over it, and then surrounded. All right, that looks good. This certainly isn't necessary to drill your food and put a thermometer in there, but it does give me some information. As it's drying, it gives me a heads up that it's starting to get warm. It lets me know well in advance of the other gauges on there that it's getting close, and it's awfully fun to do. That's ready to go in there. We'll get them in the freeze dryer. The bottom thermometer says about -20 and about -34. Oh, and it matches that one. Tray 4. And this food didn't warm up. The carrots didn't warm up very much. They still show lower than 20. Yeah, so about 10 degrees, 10 degrees. This one's still showing about 20, and that one's showing about 15. So I'll make sure the drain valve is closed. I closed the drain valve, but first I used it like a straw and sucked a little bit of the air out. Made a nice seal around here already, so I know that no air is going to be coming in the front while it continues to freeze. It's got a start time of about 4.5 hours more, and currently it says it's 17, but I'm sure that's going to go up a little bit because we put that food in there that's in the 20 degree range, 10 to 20, so -14 is not, it's going to come up a bit. In fact, it is now, before it continues cooling. And I remembered to reset the power meter this time. So far it's used 0.5 kilowatt-hour getting it pre-frozen. It's using 287 for the harvest rate right now for the cooling unit. Okay, everything's looking good. Let's move away from the loud thing. So I got a question. Why are you freeze drying? Put that in the comments down there. What got you into freeze drying? Do you have a freeze dryer, or are you just looking at it because you're interested? I got into freeze drying because I wanted a walk-in freezer. I like to make big batches of things. I hate to run out. We had 2 freezers and we're in the process of buying a 3rd one. And I started looking at walk-in freezers. I have a space for one. We'd kind of left an area that we could put one in. We could insulate the area almost completely underground. It's concrete walls, it's waterproof. We could put in a walk-in freezer. So I started looking at them. Even used ones were expensive. And then the maintenance of it, that's what really threw me. If you have the walk-in freezer go out, you could lose everything. With the 3 freezers we already had, we almost always have enough space that if we really push hard, we could take the 3 freezers worth of stuff and stuff it into 2 freezers. So if one goes out, we're still good. So we started looking at what else could we do. I'd always known about freeze drying. I've been using Mountain House freeze dried food for many, many years, 45 years. Love this stuff. It's my favorite food out camping or hiking, but it's also expensive and it's not my homemade food. So, and I thought that freeze dry units were completely out of the question. I didn't know that a home one existed. This is 5 years ago. And then I saw that the harvest rights were out and that they'd been out for a while and that they'd made some improvements. So that's why I went to freeze drying. Anyway, so far so good. It says it was finished about 2.5 hours ago, but I wasn't up yet. So I'm going to go ahead and take them out, weigh them, put them back in, rewarm, and make sure that they've finished losing weight. So first, we'll open the drain valve. That's amazing. The air coming in is 100 degrees, 110 degrees warmer than the air that's already in there. So, not surprising to hear a few pops and things. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to rotate the trays top to bottom so that the bottom one's at the top when I put them back in. So tray 1. Okay, 881. I'm going to take out tray 4 so I can switch them. Oh, those are cold, cold, cold. Okay, tray 2, 876. 870. So all right, so now they're 1 to 4 from bottom to top. All right, so now got that reclosed. I'm going to restart that, add more time, check the drain valve. Yep, I left it closed. And it'll come back in a couple hours. It'll be rewarmed and I can check to make sure that it hasn't dropped more weight. Hey, there goes some of the droplets. So just a few times during each batch I'll come over there and give this a good shake. Water droplet going down the hose. So gonna go ahead and bypass the rest of that now. On the screen it shows 39.5 hours now. If it's done, it was actually done at least 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago. So it was actually done at least 4 hours ago at 35.5 hours. If it needs more time, then it wasn't done. But it was 3 hours of just sitting and waiting, or 3.5 hours of sitting waiting. So open the drain valve, we'll get them out and check them. Okay, so tray 1's on the bottom. 881, so has not changed. So after another hour and 3/4, hasn't changed, so hopefully they're all the same and they'll come out. Okay, that one went down 1, so number 4 will be the question one. Oh, that one's gone down also. So this one's gone down by 3. 3. So that one's gone down. This has gone down 3 more grams. So actually I'm going to put that back in. So let's check number 4. That one's gone down 2 more. only tray 1 did not go down any, and that was the one that was on the top, which seemed to be the warmest before. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit more time to make sure. 6 grams of water in a batch that's only going to weigh 460 grams is a decent amount of water. So I closed the drain valve. I'm going to put it in there for another hour or so and check again. So I'm going to add more time. Drain valve. And it's still cool. I'm going to give it just a little bit more. Open the drain valve. Okay, it's time to check them again. Tray 1. Tray 1 didn't change, but it didn't change last time either. So it's the other 3 trays that it had changed. Okay, so now it did not change. Okay, after last time, 3 of the... I'm going to turn this off. Wow. Okay, so when I checked it last time, 3 of the trays had lost weight, so a total of 6 grams between 3 of the trays. 1 of the trays had not lost any weight. Now it looks like, well, I should check the others, but that one hadn't lost any this time, so that's good. And the last one, all right, so this time they haven't lost anything since the previous time, so now they're all good to go. I'll get them moved over and get them ready for bagging. Get the defrost fan into place and the little defrost baffle. Get the thermometer pulled out of the ice because that's stuck in the ice in the bottom, but it pulls right out. 27.59 kilowatt hours for that batch, and then I'll reset it for the next batch. I'll go ahead and take the thermometers out of the little carrot lollipops. On this drawer I have my parchment paper, some Ziplocs in case I need them. I stacked the scales in here. Okay. And I have the different size bags here, oxygen absorbers, some scissors, tape, cups for if I want to scoop the items into the bag. So get all the trays weighed to find out how much weight of carrots we have. So we'll get that after the thermometers are out. Added up all the weight of the carrots and subtracted the pans and everything. 462 grams of carrots now. So about 1 pound of carrots total in comparison to 10 pounds to begin with. So almost 9/10 water. If I can bag them in 1 pound bags, that will be 46.2 grams per bag. I don't know if they'll fit. So I've got all the bags labeled, but I left off the weight until I test one, find out if 1 pound will fit. Otherwise I'll go to 3/4 of a pound. That would be 34.65 grams for a 3/4 pound amount. Now, the big question is, will it fit? I don't think it's going to, because these are big chunks. They're not very compressible without breaking them. So I think I'm going to have to label additional bags, but we'll test one, see what happens. So we'll see how much. So 34.65 would be 3/4. Wow, 34.65. Okay, so it's certainly not going to fit a pound. All right, so that's 3/4 of a pound. So I'll label a few extra bags. I'll put that it's 3/4 of a pound. And then that will close well, but a pound wouldn't fit. These are just too big and fluffy. They did not shrink very much. Those are nice. Try some freeze-dried carrots that are still dry. They're quite delicious. Okay, so 3/4 pound. I'm not going to worry about the amount of weight they lost because carrots, like most vegetables, just absorb the amount of water they need. So you don't really have to worry about weighing out the water. You just pour it in enough to cover them. They'll soak up what they need. So now I've got all the bags labeled 3/4 of a pound, except for 2 of them I've got labeled for a 1/2 pound, so that everything will come out even. So I need 34.6 per bag.
I'm bagging all the carrots in 1 quart 7 mil Mylar bags. They're my current favorite bag. It's what we use the most of. I'll end up with 12 bags with 3/4 of a pound and 2 bags with a 1/2 pound.
All right, now 2 1/2 pound bags, which would be only 23.1 grams. Okay, so I might even have a little extra because each one of those I tended to be on the short side, the 0.4 instead of the 0.6. Okay, so that's a 1/2 pound. I'll just go ahead and put one of these in each bag and bump them up just a little bit. Ta-da! So I'm going to have to shake these down a little bit to get them to fit, but that's 3/4 of a pound of carrots and a 1/2 pound of carrots. So do you ever think of carrots as being a very wet, watery food? They're the most changed food of any of the ones we've done so far.
The weight of the carrots have gone down almost a full 90%.
So one of the other things I'm going to add for those that are interested is the calories, the total calories for a batch. So the ones that have it, I'm adding the calories per serving, how big the serving is, how many servings the batch is, and then the total calories for that batch. And so the calorie density, I suppose, the best so far is the eggs, of what I know the numbers of. I'm using 300 cc oxygen absorbers. I'll get that in all the bags and then zipper them shut and then seal them. Can kind of squish out any extra air if there's bag space and zipper them shut. So far, the most calorie dense food that we've freeze dried, I believe, is the eggs. Could be the chicken, but I don't know the numbers yet. But the eggs, okay, I'm going to do this twice for this first one. The eggs were the cheapest batch per pound and the most calorie dense per pound. It's like the perfect freeze-dry food if you're looking for enough calories to survive, and at least something I really like. Sealing as high at the top as I can in case I need to use it or reseal it later. So you'll probably notice that we do a lot of shopping for freeze drying at the chef store, restaurant supply store. Our restaurant supply store in this area is completely open to the public, and they aren't always the best price for everything. It's just like any other store, but they often have stuff you just can't find at other places. They have large quantities of large quantities, so big bags and lots of them. It's kind of like a Costco but with a bigger selection of variety for restaurant type foods. So we've been real happy with that. But in your area, maybe you don't have a restaurant supply store that's open to the public. "40 years ago, ours was not open to the public. You had to be a business to shop there. You had to be able to show a business license, a business card, some kind of thing like that. But they didn't care what business. So I've been shopping at that before they were, at those types before they were open to the public, because I had a business. It just had nothing to do with food. And that was fine. They didn't care what the business was, so I don't know why. Bags are all sealed and ready to go into a bin. We ended up with 14 quart bags of carrots. We have 10 pounds of carrots into 14 quart bags. 12 of them have 3/4 of a pound, 2 of them have a half pound. So the total time in the freeze dryer was 41 hours, 17 minutes. But the actual freeze drying time was only 37 hours and 30 minutes because it was sitting for a few hours in between after it had finished and before I'd started a re-dry cycle. The amount of power it used was 27.59 kilowatt hours. So if we were 10 cents a kilowatt, that would be $2.76. The total cost of the carrots, the bags of carrots, was $10.18, barely under $1.02 a pound. Next, I think we're doing apples. We went to the chef store again, bought a 40-pound box of peeled, sliced apples, ready to use. Now we'll move over and put these in the bin, in bin number 2. The bags of carrots are going to go into bin 2. I'm just using a month and year to find them, and then we can always refer to the notebook of batches and line up the exact batch number if we ever need to. We'll get those in there and take a look at them. So in the bin so far is just the shrimp, and I'm going to just layer these right on top of that. I think I'll bring that a little closer. All right, so we've got the first 2 batches in here. Is that focused, or is it not able to focus on that? What if we move it? We have 2 batches in that bin now, and then we'll move on to the next one. We'll finish defrosting the machine, washing or cleaning the trays, getting them pre-cooled. We're ready for the next batch. So a few hours, the next batch will go in. Next batch going down the list is fruit. We got a 40-pound box of Granny Smith apples that are already peeled and sliced and individually frozen that we're going to put on the trays next. We've got a 50-pound, nope,